Hi, it's Serena from highlyrecommendedbooks.com, and I'm here today to tell you why I loved and why I highly recommend Verity by Colleen Hoover. Now, what I find really interesting is that when I went on Amazon to buy this book, I read a little blurb that they had about it, and it said that it was in the genre of new adult thrillers. And I had never heard that term. So I looked it up, and apparently new adult thrillers are those that are aimed at and for the reader who is in their 20s, and the main character is typically in his or her 20s. And that's the case here. The main character is a 20-something young woman. Now, I clearly am not a 20-something young woman, but I still really enjoyed this book. So don't let the fact that it has that genre listed turn you off. I thought it was a really fabulous book. It's one of the favorite books I've read this year. So anyway, the lead character is a young woman named Lowen Ashley, which I think is actually a really great name. She is a writer. She's had a couple of books published. None of them were huge hits. And she is kind of at loose ends because she's been caring for her mother, who recently died, and she doesn't have a book in the pipeline, doesn't have a contract for a book, and she's virtually penniless and doesn't really know what to do with herself. Luckily, fortuitously, her agent calls her and says, "Come for a meeting. There's a book contract for you." As she's going to the meeting, she has an intimate encounter with a man, and it turns out he's the person she's supposed to meet with. And he is Jeremy Crawford. And it is his wife, Verity, hence the name of the book, who is a famous author. And she was in a car accident and is unable to continue writing. She was seriously injured. She's incapacitated, can't talk, can't walk, can't communicate in any way. And what the plan is that her publishing company is going to pay Lowen to write books as if she were Verity, so in Verity's style. And you know, Verity means truth. Anyway, in order to accomplish this, they all get together. She and Jeremy Crawford and her agent agree that the best plan is for her to go to the Crawford mansion in rural Vermont and for her to go through all of Verity's notes, hoping that she's written an outline for these last 3 books in the series that Lowen is supposed to write for her. Lowen cannot find anything that will help her planning out how and what she's supposed to write, but she does come across a manuscript, and she looks at it carefully and realizes that it's Verity's autobiography. And even though it's an invasion of privacy, she starts to read it and is absolutely blown away by the admissions in this manuscript. And it's a very personal to Verity manuscript. For one thing, it starts out by describing how she met and fell in love with her husband, Jeremy. And it goes into great detail about the love life that she and Jeremy shared. And then it describes how the birth of their children, 2 girls and then a little boy, and how jealous she was of the presence of the children, and how she felt that she was losing Jeremy to the children, which is kind of a weird, bizarre way for a mother to think about her children, that she's in some kind of competition with them for her husband. Anyway, that's what is going on. And Lowen realizes that, you know, she can't ever tell Jeremy what's going on because it would be too devastating. He still cares about Verity. He's not put her in a nursing home. He has her in the home with him, cared for by a nurse, and he does a lot of the caring for her as well. Now, by the time that Lowen arrives at their home, the two girls who were older, obviously, than the little boy, have both died in accidents. And so in the house is only the little boy. He's about 5 years old. Anyway, he's there, and Lowen thinks that there is something weird going on in the household. And she's hearing things and seeing things, and the house is remote, and there's very little interaction between her and the outside world, and she has to be there for much longer than she anticipated, and she's getting more spooked and more spooked. And things take a bizarre turn, and I can't tell you what that is. I don't want to give anything away here. I don't want you to have any preconceived ideas, but I do highly recommend this book. I thought it was so fun, and if I had to compare it to something else, I think it's kind of like I would call it a psychological thriller. I'd also call it a romantic thriller, because there is a lot of sex talk in the book. Now, it's not erotica by any stretch of the imagination, but there are graphic descriptions of the sex life of both Verity and her husband, and between Lowen and Jeremy. And that's part of the key points in the plot here, is that they do fall in love, and it's this awkward triangle between Lowen and Jeremy and the memory of Verity. So anyway, I highly recommend it. Get it. You'll love it. Don't forget to sign up. Go onto my website and sign up for my newsletter. If you sign up for the newsletter, you'll be eligible for a gift from me. It's a drawing that I have once a month. I send out a book box. That's what I call them. They're really fun, filled with great prizes. It's all free to you. So anyway, it's highly recommended books.com. You can see the written version of my review, and it's always slightly different from what I talk about in these videos. But anyway, that's on highlyrecommendedbooks.com and on Facebook and Instagram. So have a great day and keep reading.